Macros. Spark gaps for EDM electrodes. A basic macro with no additional options selected is designed to rerun all the recorded processes on the originally selected geometry. The project settings dialog will allow changes on the general and user variable pages. For operators needing to create a series of electrodes for EDM, electrical discharge machining, NCG CAM can store the spark gap value as a variable. After programming the first electrode, the operations can be recorded in a macro. Then, by changing the spark gap variable and running the macro, you can create additional electrodes with varying spark gaps. The macro can do as much or as little as you require. In this case, I will create various sets of passes and link them, set the parameters for each, and then post-process them to create a tape file. Open a session of NCG CAM. Select and load the part. Review the Project Settings dialog General page, including the folders and default post-processor, and modify as necessary. In particular, set the prefix to indicate the size of the electrode being programmed. In this example, the model file is called Part 1, so the name could be extended Part 1 Rougher, Part 1 Finisher, or use the undersized value Part 1 underscore minus 0.05, for example. On the User Variables page, set the required spark gap value. Click OK. When creating the passes, ensure the thickness value for each set is correct. When finishing the part to size, the thickness value should be set to SG open bracket closed bracket, so that the predefined spark gap value will populate the field. Create the passes and link the toolpaths required to machine the part. In this case, 5 strategies will be used. Core roughing with a thickness of plus 0.5, core horizontal area using a thickness of 0, raster passes with a thickness equal to the spark gap variable using the formula SG open bracket closed bracket in the field, waterline again using the formula SG open bracket closed bracket, UV again using SG bracket bracket. Create the core roughing passes and link them. Finish the horizontal areas. Select the top surface and create raster passes on it. Set the thickness to use the spark gap formula. Create waterline passes using the formula. Set the Z minimum maximum to restrict the range. Select the fillet radius surfaces to generate UV passes. Again, use SG bracket bracket for the thickness. Ensure all the passes have been linked. Set the parameters for each toolpath. Select the toolpaths in order to generate the tape file. Select the tape file in the directory view, then from the File drop-down menu, select Macro, Save As. Verify or modify the file name as required. Click Save to create the macro. All the processes on which the active process depends, the surfaces and the boundaries, the passes and the linking, and all other items used for the calculations are saved as part of the macro. Running the macro for the next electrode size. From the File menu, select Macro. Choose Run. Locate and select the macro using the open dialog. Alternatively, if the macro has been run previously, then it may be in the recent list. On the General page, verify the settings are correct. Change the prefix to indicate the size of the next electrode. On the User Variables page, set the new spark gap. Click OK to run the macro. When all the processes are complete, review the new toolpath in the directory view. Here you can see and verify the thickness values used. In the File Explorer, you will be able to locate the new post-processed file created.